Boxing King Media, powered by BYD. Mr. Adam Smith, we're here for a GBM special announcement. 3 big signings, two lots of young talent and an experienced campaigner, it's fair to say, even though he's had 17, 18 fights.
Yeah, a trio of treasures, hopefully. GBM are really getting on the mark now. I think now with the DAZN deal, one under our belt in Coventry, now looking to really hit homes in the autumn and winter period. It's a very exciting time for us, and I think what we've done today is show boxing that we're open for business, and that we will look at young amateurs turning over. Prospects who maybe have been on with other promoters and hasn't quite worked out for whatever reason. They need a home, need a bit of TLC, maybe some, a small amount of people around them. Maybe they've been lost a little bit on big promotional outfits, and then also experienced campaigners who, are exciting. Bruce Mould is aggressive. He's got a lot of fans. He comes from a really cool gym, and you want to see these guys do well. And it shows that even a couple of losses on the record doesn't matter. You come on our shows, you go again, you put yourself in 50-50 or 55-45 fights, and you win some, you lose some, but you're there and you're trying to live your dreams and you're entertaining the fans. And I think what I'm getting back, the feedback I'm getting, is that fighters are loving what GBM are doing, and fans too. And I think the key is we're putting on good, solid fights. And I think these are 3 solid announcements today. They're not the biggest names in the sport, but we're not the biggest name either. There are levels to this. Matchroom, Queensbury, Boxer, the Sauerlands, Wasserman, all these promoters, the big guns, are flying, and it's great to see. But GBM are moving along very nicely, increasing show by show. We've got real momentum. You see the Irish duo of Tiernan and Kieran, the likes of Shaq Thompson, Niall Berry, even though he lost last time out in a really good fight. He'll come back from that. Danny Quartermain, still undefeated. Arlo Stevens, the heavyweight. We're giving a lot of these fighters chances that maybe they wouldn't get on the bigger promotional shows. And I think the signings are really interesting today. The farm boy, I was privileged to be on his farm the other day. Not many farmers become fighters. Remember Dave Boy Green, I think, was from Farm Stock Francis Ampofo, the former British flyweight champion. He runs a farm these days, but not many. And it's
I understand you've been to the farm and you filmed something. Could you share some snippets of things that you saw that you thought, what the hell?
Well, you know me, right? And I'm not often out of a jacket and loafers or chinos or that sort of attire. And for me to put wellies on, being an inner city London boy was quite an experience. Actually, I do go on holiday to West Cork where there are farms, but I try to stay off them. I was right in the middle of a farm with pigs all around me and sheep and horses and everything. And I was given the guided tour. I wasn't put on a combine harvester or a tractor or anything, thankfully, but I will be back because the produce was unbelievable, spectacular. Fabulous farm, fabulous family. Ed is a really lovely young man, and his dad is wonderful. They're 4th generation in farm stock. That's their world, their world of agriculture, and he's done his schooling. He's a farmer, but he also has been a boxer for many years on the amateur scene, had 70-odd amateur fights. He's now in the Steel City gym. He's got a great stable around him, and the likes of Dalton Smith and Sonny Edwards, who he spars with. Chantel Cameron will show well for the weekend. It's fantastic, and Grant's got a really buzzing stable there. So it's wonderful to see Ed having that, but also having a job. He's a farmer, and it's a great thing to fall back on. It's a fantastic family unit. It's wonderful to be going into into the boxing sport, into a world where it's going to be tough, but knowing that he has that support behind him and around him, and it will bring a lot of farmers to the shows. So the farm boy's ready for action. How good is he? Well, listen, he shared a ring with Adam Azim and plenty of others. He won a lot of belts, titles, trophies in his amateur career. So really excited about young Ed. You get on to Amar Akbar. I think he's just, I think it's a wonderful story. I think, he's lighting up Dewsbury, 6-0. Ready for bigger and better things. I know you know him well, and you rate him highly. I've seen a little bit of him. I like what I've seen. I want to see more. He's skillful, he's talented, he's got a huge following, and again, a great family support around him. He's come through some very difficult times. There's a story as well, like there's a farm story with Ed. There's a story about community and family and love and hardship with Amar, and I'm really excited about working with him, learning more about him. A really lovely unit too, and then Reese, who came today with his beloved kids, his 2 daughters, his whole family were here for a big announcement, and it's great to see, coming off that defeat to Gary Cully in Dublin, and it was a tight one, and he had to take that one on the chin, just like the Lee Wood fight, and he's a good fighter, Reese. He's exciting, going to be in some very, very decent scraps, I think, for GBM. But I think also he's got ambition. When he started off, he just wanted to be an English champion, but now he knows what he can do. He's sparred out in the States. He's got Maxie Hughes and Josh Warrington alongside him, and he wants to be a European champion. And I hope that we try and make his dreams come true with GBM. I think they've made a wise decision, the 3 of them today, and I think Izzy's, he's got his scouts out there. Al Siesta, knows everything about boxing. Young Alex, the reporter, he's got his eye. He's a Leeds man as well. He keeps his ear to the ground. Obviously, I go around the gyms too, so we're looking around, and I think the message is loud and clear. GBM are interested in an array of fighters, so the opportunity's there, and the door is open. Come to the shows, come and be around us. We want to see what you can do, and there's chances. I think just like at a totally different level, Turkey is giving huge opportunities to fighters fighting for world titles and big money on the big stages. There's opportunities here at GBM for young fighters, young prospects to come on board, and also ones that maybe it hasn't worked out quite as well as they would have liked. And Reese Mould is a brilliant example. He's 29, he's lost a couple, but he's won loads, and he wants to win more. And if he loses, hey, it doesn't matter. It's not the end of the world. Excite us, entertain us, not just us, entertain the fans. Make it value for money. And, you're going to be welcome back on a GBM show. GBM and DAZN, it's all about that. It's about getting entertainment through the screens, telling stories, making people interested, wanting to watch. And we've got 3 guys today that I think they've all got stories to tell, and they're going to be fun to watch their journeys, their professional rides unfold, and who knows how far all of them can go. And I don't think either you or I know which one of those 3 will go further. So it'll be fascinating to find out, won't it?
It definitely will, Adam. I think the most important thing is they're all really good fighters, and they bring a crowd, and they're exciting to watch. So I think the fans are in for a treat. And like I said, congratulations to Izzy, and obviously you're part of the team as well. So some big things ahead for GBM. Before I let you go, I'm going to just quickly discuss a couple of topics that have been hot in the news. Chris Eubank Jr. signing with Boxer. I spoke to Eddie a couple of days ago and Frank Smith, and they're both kind of hinted and talked about the wordings of this relationship that he's had with the Boxer, and they said it was more like a partnership with Sky and Boxer than actually signing with him as a fighter. So obviously you've been there. So what does that mean? Or is it just rivalries, or they're just making excuses for not getting him, or what is it?
I love Chris Eubank Jr. He's a one-off, and I think Boxer have done very well to get hold of him. How it's happened, I'm not privy to that anymore. I sent Ben a congratulations message. He hasn't actually got back to me, so I'll be telling him off for that. I'll call him and congratulate him. We'll go and see him in person. But it's a great signing for Boxer and for Sky. So yeah, my old team of Rob Selms, Ed Robinson, and the guys. I'm not sure who was behind it, but Chris is obviously a very a massive character and a very good fighter. John Wischusen's a boxer. He's close to Sky. He's close to the Eubanks. I'm sure that was partly in Chris's mind. But Junior's a bright guy. He'll have made the right decision for him. He wants that big fight with Canelo. He wants huge fights before he calls it a day. I think he only wants the big fights now, and he showed against Liam Smith in the second fight what he's all about. I know Liam was off colour that day, and he had his own difficulties going into it. But I thought Chris's performance, having what happened in the first fight and having to reverse it all and having all that pressure on him, I thought he was absolutely outstanding. I want to see him fight more regularly. I want to see him in big fights. So if Boxer and Sky can provide that, then I'm a happy customer. I can't wait to see him.
Who do you think he should fight next? If you're going to pluck a name out the air, and if he's not going to have warm-up fight, because that's another thing Eddie did say. He said that Eubank wanted 2 warm-up fights and they weren't willing to give him that as well. So
Who do you want to see him in with?
Well, I did say to Eddie Hearn, I said that sounds very similar to the situation when Tyson Fury said he wanted 2 warm-up fights, but then he ended up fighting Wilder. So what's the truth?
I do think Chris wants a big fight, and I do think he wants Canelo, and we'll have to wait and see if Ben and Sky can make the magic happen, because it's obviously that's life-changing sort of fight, and Canelo is one of the pound for pound greats and a legend of our time. So I think that's the fight he's got to be aiming for. And it's difficult sort of assessing who he could fight. In the meantime, there's a lot of tricky guys out there in his division. So I think that he probably will want one fight and then go for gold or go for broke against Canelo. That's what I like to see. And look, I think Junior will fancy himself against anyone. He's got that mentality. He's old school, but he's modern generation, if you know what I mean. He's that wonderful blend. He's a really lovely guy out of the ring, and in the ring he's intelligent and he's spiteful, and he follows a plan very well. He executes it nicely. So I'd like to see Chris in with the big names, but there's no one bigger than Canelo.
And then the other thing I want to speak to you about is the interview Simon Joe did recently. I'm just going to directly quote what he said. He was talking about Anthony Joshua and Dubois, and he basically said, I think it's a fascinating fight. And he was basically questioning if Anthony Joshua is fully rehabilitated, in his words, because he's ultimately fought fighters that haven't really put him back at this time, basically suggesting no one's kind of put it on him. He said Wallin was nowhere near him, and Ngannou obviously was stopped. So he goes, so I think if Daniel detonates on him, he'll get PTSD because he'll take him back to a space where the question is that Anthony Joshua hasn't wanted to go too deep in the trenches. And he reckons there's a big possibility that Dubois will be that guy that will take him into them trenches. So basically,
Eddie liked that, didn't he?
Yeah.
Eddie liked that, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. He went nuts. But basically, in not so many words, he's basically suggesting that there might be some scars from the Ruiz first fight, which people have been saying for years, but obviously we ain't seen any evidence of that, suggesting that may come back to haunt him if Daniel puts it on him.
Yeah, people still say that Anthony quit in that fight against Andy Ruiz. I think people like to dig into fighters, and sometimes they just there's a lot of stuff that's unfair that floats around. For me, Andy Ruiz deserves enormous credit that night. Becoming the first Mexican American to become a world heavyweight champion, and don't forget Joshua knocked him down in the third round and was on the verge of victory. He got caught by a fantastic counter shot. Ruiz had really fast hands that night. Joshua was down 4 times before getting stopped. So, I mean, people questioning his courage and his guts and his heart. I think it's disgraceful, really. I think AJ has had immense amount of pressure on his shoulders since the very beginning. The golden boy from the Olympics, the poster boy, the man of the generation. He carried everyone's hopes, didn't he? And I mean, he rebuilt from Andy Ruiz, and he's rebuilt again from the Alexander Usyk defeats. And as we've seen, Alexander Usyk becoming the undisputed heavyweight champion, the pound for pound king, and an unbelievable fighter. I mean, and AJ pushed him fairly close the second time. So I obviously am a big admirer of Anthony Joshua. I've worked with him for many, many years. I accept the the fact that people can criticize. And I think Simon Jordan is a wonderful radio broadcaster. I think he's fantastic, and I love working with him and listening to him. Very bright guy, loves boxing, but he's going to say what he believes. And I think that there is an element that AJ, since the Usyk second fight, hasn't fought, A1 opposition. I mean, he's fought a very good fighter in Otto Wallin, but not a great fighter. I think Otto would sit here and tell you exactly the same thing, but he took him to school. He was brilliant.
Well, I remember the build-up to that fight, and a lot of people are saying this is going to be a really hard fight.
Yeah, and of course, because of the southpaw in Otto, and AJ's not had the best of fortune with southpaw. Obviously, he won the world title against Charles Martin, but trouble with southpaw in the amateurs a little bit, and obviously with Alexander Usyk. Although I was speaking to Ben Davison the other day, and they just want that third fight with him. I saw Anthony the other day in training. He looks spectacular. He looks fantastic. He's a sponge. I love the fact that he's picked up the pieces after Ruiz. He exacted revenge in Saudi, exactly like Lennox Lewis, when Lennox Lewis got knocked out by Oliver McCall, and he did that. When he got knocked out by Hasim Rahman, he did exactly the same thing. And I'm sure AJ wants to go back in and try and be Alexander Usyk. Lennox Lewis, the greatest heavyweight we've ever produced, in my opinion. And we've got Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua, and others around who are really good fighters. And I think you've got to put Daniel Dubois in the bracket of very, very good fighters. Look, am I confident that Daniel Dubois knocks out Anthony Joshua? No. Am I confident that Anthony Joshua knocks out Daniel Dubois? No, I'm not confident either way. This is heavyweight boxing. AJ starts a favourite going into it. I think that he should win the fight. I think he's looked fantastic under Ben Davison. I do see what Simon's saying about the opposition, because he fought Francis Ngannou next. So you can't read that much into it, although Francis Ngannou obviously took Tyson Fury to a 10-round decision, which was very controversial. Tyson, did he have a bad night? Did Ngannou have a great night in his sort of first boxing fight, and then truth dawned on him second time around? I think they're clearing up the cups and saucers just behind us.
I hope the mics won't pick it up.
The mics won't pick it up, okay. This is from the announcements earlier. I'll pick it up. So, yeah, I think that AJ has fought Otto Wallin, he's fought Francis Ngannou. They're not A1 opposition. So maybe that's what Simon's getting at. Daniel Dubois is definitely the toughest fight he's had since the Usyk fight, I think. Although you may say, the rehabilitation with the others, and I don't know, I think Daniel Dubois is probably the best fighter he's fought since Usyk. I was there for one of their sparring sessions, a long time ago. Daniel was a kid, was a baby. AJ was just starting out. If they repeat that in the ring, it's going to be fun to watch. Daniel's got power. He's got belief. He's got a lot of courage. Just like Anthony coming back from defeat. He came back from that Joe Joyce performance, difficulty, a lot of questions asked. Even questions asked after the Usyk fight. Look what he did. Came back, fought Baby Miller. Turkey was impressed with that. And then what he did against Filip Hrgović was fantastic. And people talk now about, he got caught so much in the first couple of rounds. Hang on a minute. It was a life-changing performance, that, for Daniel Dubois. Mentally and physically, under Don Charles, he looked absolutely brilliant. He grew in it so much that he was speaking so well after the fight as well. I think Daniel will come on from that. He's 26 years old.
We'll wait for this lady to go past with the cups. That is proper annoying, isn't it?
Yeah, but I've watched on TV too long to know about the audio, so.
And they've gone.
And they've gone. And the door slams, and we are the last two people in the room, as usual. Yeah. We could talk all day, couldn't we? Look, just to sort of summarise, I think AJ has had, the opposition's not been the sternest, but the relationship with Ben Davison and the way he's executing the game plans in those first two fights, Wallin, brilliant, Ngannou, devastating. They believe that Dubois will follow suit. They believe they'll knock him out. They believe AJ is just too good. Eddie does. And there's a part of me that thinks that AJ, is favourite to win the fight, and it will be a very great performance, I guess, from Daniel Dubois to upset the odds. But I think people are disrespecting Daniel. I think Daniel has, like Simon says, he's got a lot going for him. He's got definitely a chance in this fight under Don Charles. You know, two trainers who have revitalized their charges in many ways. AJ's got the experience. He's fought at a higher level. He's got the resume. He's fought on the stadium shows. You know, everything sort of seems to be in his favor. But didn't people sort of fancy Matchroom to turn Queensberry over in the 5v5? And look what happened. Frank and George are pretty smart. They're pretty good at this. And they believe in Daniel. I think Daniel's got a live chance in this fight. I think people are disrespecting him wrongly. I think that he is maturing as a heavyweight. I think he believes in himself, which is so important. He's got power. Has he got flaws? Is he vulnerable? Yes. Has AJ got flaws? We've seen them. Has he tightened up those flaws? Maybe more than Daniel, potentially. Don Charles has got a tough job here. He knows it. Don's up for the challenge. Daniel's up for the challenge. He'll love being the underdog. He was against Hrgovic. He will be again at Wembley. Is this Daniel Dubois' time? Or will AJ continue to demonstrate what he's all about? A two-time heavyweight champion, becoming a three-time heavyweight king, and then going in with the winner of the Usyk Fury rematch. Could it be Fury? Could it be AJ Fury finally? Could it be Usyk 3? We don't know what happens in December, but we've got September the 21st first to enjoy. What a wonderful, wonderful show it's going to be, with some fantastic fights, top to bottom. We've got August the 3rd, then we've got September 21st. But I like AJ Dubois. I like it as a Battle of Britain. I like it as AJ coming back to Wembley. I like the fact that Daniel's got a stadium show, not in Poland, but in Wembley, in London, in England. I think it's a fantastic to have two British heavyweights going at each other. I don't like the disrespect and the fact people are writing off Daniel Dubois. Don't do that. Write that kid off at your peril. He's 26 and he's gone through a lot. He's a hungry fighter and he's a good fighter. Is he good enough to beat AJ on this form as he's rejuvenated with that resume? Not sure. But I tell you what, I don't think this fight is going 12 rounds. I think there's a knockout either way. I think it's going to be spectacular. I think it's going to be a fantastic night for heavyweight boxing.
I 100% agree, Adam. I'm genuinely looking forward to it. I can't wait. Just before I let you go, couple of quick 30-second answers. You can have 30 seconds coming to time here, because I need two quick predictions for the Ready to Fight app. First one, you've got 30 seconds to break it down however you want it, but we want a prediction at the end. Terence Crawford, Madrimov.
I love Ready to Fight. They're a wonderful business with Alexander Usyk behind them. That's up to 7 seconds because I'm watching on your clock. Terence Crawford, for me, I would have put him before Usyk Fury as pound for pound king, but Usyk now takes that by becoming undisputed. Terence Crawford, a phenomenal fighter. I love Madrimov as well. I think he's really, really good, but I think Terence is that little bit special. I fancy Crawford to win, probably points, maybe late stoppage.
Okay, just 32 seconds. Last one, Derek Chisora, Joe Joyce.
Joe Joyce, Derek Chisora. So, Derek Chisora owes us nothing, although he's got to behave himself on the Hampstead streets. That's my dad's neighbourhood. We love Derek. Get in the ring, Derek, and do your bits in the ring. Fight hard, fight well. You always will. We love you. Joe Joyce, brilliant to see him back. I love it. It's the styles meshing. Yeah, people are criticising this fight. I think that it's going to be what it is. It's going to be a war. It's going to be fun to watch. I think Joe Joyce will win. He's just a bit fresher.
That was perfect. Adam Smith, as always, thank you for your time, and hopefully Deliveroo might sponsor this interview.
There we go. Stay out of trouble.